Every day, you wake up as your own boss, making your own way. Every day, you continue your journey to change the world, your team, and yourself. Every day, you encourage, congratulate, celebrate, and reach toward your goal of being the best and providing the best. The Build Your Best Business Show is for you. The real stories of building a business from other owners and founders along the journey. Find the support and advice you need to successfully start, grow, manage, and exit your business. What are you going to do today to build your best business?
Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Build Your Best Business focuses on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, manage, grow, and maybe potentially exit a business? We're coming to you from TiECon Southeast, which is a production of TiE Atlanta. I am joined today by two of, I would call Atlanta technology or startup royalty. We've got Jen Bonnett. She is the General Manager of ATDC and the Chief Chick of Startup Chicks. I'm allowed to call you a chick, which is...
Yes, I like to self-identify as a chick. It means young, hip, and fun.
Okay, good. And then Dr. Yadav, he is the founder and CEO of MiRus. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about MiRus, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about ATDC and Startup Chicks.
Great. MiRus is a new company I started about a year ago. It's in the spine and orthopedics business. We're providing a comprehensive solution to spine surgery, starting with risk prediction, to better implants, to post-op management and risk reduction. Because in today's healthcare environment, it's not enough just to have a good solution. We have to have better outcomes and lower costs. We need comprehensive solutions. I'm also very involved with TiE, having been involved for a number of years and currently chairman of TiE.
Oh, very cool. Very nice. And Jen Bonnett?
Yeah, so I call myself a recovering entrepreneur these days. So I've done 7 startups over 20-some years and been parts of teams that have raised $47 million in venture capital. And about 9 years ago, I started a nonprofit called Startup Chicks because I was at an event, not unlike this, but not this particular event, and there were not enough women in the room. And so I decided I wanted to do something about that. So I started Startup Chicks as a nonprofit, and over the last 9 years, we've served about 10,000 women globally through our online presence and social media, as well as we grew up to 11 cities. We're actually just down to 2 cities right now. And the mission is how do we empower or activate more women to grow large-scale, fundable startups that are going to create lots of jobs in this country and in others. And that led me to ATDC. So I was doing Startup Chicks, and I had a business at the time. And when I sold that business, the head of ATDC at the time came to me and said, I love what you've been doing with Startup Chicks. Would you come work with our startups in the technology space at ATDC? So I started at ATDC as what we call an entrepreneur in residence, coaching companies almost 6 years ago. It'll be 6 years in July. And I like to joke around that if you stick around long enough, they actually promote you. So now I actually run ATDC, and I love it because every day I get to wake up and think about what can myself and my staff do to help move the needle for our ATDC companies or for female entrepreneurs so that they can have an easier journey on this entrepreneurial path.
Very cool. So let's start to unpack that a little bit. So Dr. J talking about the TiE and some of the conferences and things that they're doing. Tell me a little bit about TiE itself as an organization, some of the things that you see as the impact, and then we'll move over and tell everybody a little bit about the other parts of the ecosystem.
Sure. Well, let me just comment on ATDC because we are actually, my previous company was an ATDC company many years ago. I think before Jen, you took over, and I think we're the largest company at ATDC. We had 2 floors, and they kicked us out, so we had to move to another building. But it's a great organization and really makes it easy for entrepreneurs to start companies and get them going. So a great resource for Atlanta and really the Southeast. So hats off to ATDC. TiE is a global organization, started in Silicon Valley probably some 20 years ago now by entrepreneurs who happen to be from India. So the Indus Entrepreneurs is the name of the company, but it's quite eclectic at this point and not limited to people of Indian origin. And global, and it's really got a wonderful mission, which is to encourage entrepreneurship, because we really believe that entrepreneurship is the great enabler of human beings and lifts people, out of poverty, improve civilization. We really believe in the application of free market forces for social good. So that's sort of our mantra. And we're in many major cities around the world, on all continents, including Africa. It's one of the most enjoyable things that I volunteer my time for. The programs start from a very young age in high school, starting with 9th graders. So we have a TiE high school program. We have a college program called TiEx, and we have programs also for people who are at corporate jobs. We call the intrapreneur program. So just providing tools and resources to help people unleash their inner entrepreneur.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And so ATDC, and we keep using ATDC. So why don't we tell everybody what that is?
So let me start with TiEx real quick, because I was one of the leaders of TiEx this past year, and so one of the reasons I did TiEx is because in my day job, we do a lot of education for entrepreneurs, a very broad reach. 1,600 entrepreneurs in the state of Georgia took an educational program with ATDC in 7 locations last year.
1,600, 7 locations.
7 locations, yeah, so it's big. But we run all of our programs in the middle of the day. And so one of the things that I partnered with TiE on was this TiEx program. And what we did was we ran the same basic style curriculum, but we ran it in the evenings so we could reach those entrepreneurs that had day jobs but still wanted to pursue their idea. And so I think what TiE's doing is it makes it easy for all types of entrepreneurs to connect and grow. And I was really happy and excited to partner with TiE on that this year.
Yeah.
ATDC stands for the Advanced Technology Development Center. We like to think of ourselves as Georgia's technology incubator, so we do serve the state. We are a part of Georgia Tech, but we are primarily state funded and have been so for 37 years. So we are the longest running, largest technology incubator in the country that's affiliated with a major research institute. And as I just said, 1,600 entrepreneurs through our educational programs, and right now, you're gonna think this is crazy, Dr. J, but we're currently incubating, both physically and virtually, about 125 companies. So, back in the day, when we were smaller, it was about 30 at any given point in time. And we do kick you out when you're successful and large. We call it graduation.
Yeah, right.
Not kicking you out. But I know most of the companies feel like they're being kicked out. But we do call it graduation, and graduation happens to be on May 11th. So
So there is a date.
The ATDC Startup Showcase will be May 11th, and that's where we will graduate 4 companies this year. There'll be 79 companies exhibiting, and 10 fast pitches of early stage companies that nobody's seen yet in the city of Atlanta.
Oh, very cool. I love the fact that we have such a stronger ecosystem around entrepreneurship, because I've been an entrepreneur for a long time too, and it used to mean you were unemployed. Like in The Big Chill, one of the guys says, I'm an entrepreneur, and his friends say, oh, you're unemployed, right? So knowing...
Like being an actor.
Right. So thinking about the overall ecosystem and how it's changed, and being someone who may have an idea, like having these like night programs or having organizations like TiE, if I am someone who has this idea, like I want to either leave my corporate job or start something, what's some of the advice or ways that you tell people to get connected into that?
Well, as you said, we're really lucky. We've got a great ecosystem, and I think ATDC deserves a lot of credit for having really pioneered it in the Atlanta area. I think Wayne Hodges at Georgia Tech really deserves a lot of credit for that also. And there are a number of other people also. So we're fortunate. There are a number of other programs also that all sort of work together. We've got TiE, as we talked about. We've got Georgia Bio, which is specific to the life sciences. We've got SEMDA, the Southeast Medical Device Association, for medical devices within healthcare. There's TAG, the Technology Association of Georgia, for people more technology focused. There's Southeast Bio, which is for the Southeast. So there are a number of companies. You've got the Metro Chamber, which has a lot of specific functions. So there's a whole number of intersecting organizations. There are also funding organizations. With the Technology Angel Group, we have Biomed Investor Network. So there are funding organizations also. But I would say if we have a weakness in the ecosystem in the Southeast, it is venture capital. Remains our Achilles heel, I would say. Jen, I don't know what you think about that, but I think that remains our weakness. We should have more venture funds than we do, given the quality of our educational institutions and our entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and so Jen, what's your...
So I think, around the venture question, I think, we're better positioned than we've ever been in the past, right? There's more funds than there's ever been. They're just not that big, right? They're smaller funds. They're $10,000 to $30,000 $30 million fund. So you can't lead a major fund for certainly a life science or biotech company. You can play in the app space, you can play in the B2B SaaS space. So we need more big funds. We need more institutional investors here in town, and we need to build stronger relationships with places that have it, and showcase our ecosystem, because I think you can raise money on the West Coast, you can raise money from Boston, and you can raise money from Austin and New York and still grow your business here if we can showcase how amazing the ecosystem is, because there is a huge support system. Back to the original question, if I was an entrepreneur and I had an idea and I didn't know what to do, I would just start showing up at some of these events. I'd get on hippopotamus.com and I'd scour their calendar, and I'd find great events to go to, and I'd start networking. And I'd go to Atlanta Startup Village on the last Monday of the month. I'd go to the consumer show if I was into B2C down at Switch Yards. I'd go to, just a few weeks ago, I was the judge at Atlanta Startup Battle at Tech Square Labs. I'd come to ATDC Showcase and see the 79 companies that we're showcasing, but we'll have over 80 people there, 800 people there. So just the ecosystem is not hard to crack. All you need to do is show up.
Yeah, and that's such an important piece of advice, because often companies will say, well, I don't have anything to pitch. Like they look at it the wrong way. The people on the stage, it's like, no, who's in the audience? Like, who can you network with? Who can you meet there? That's as interesting, if not more, a connection than just what's going on up front. Yeah, so, and I remember, I think back in the day, I talked with a company in ATDC, and it was like 12 companies on this little strip center over off near the Lucky Skillet or whatever it is. So it's,
wow, that was back in the day.
That was back in the day.
Garages,
They were garages with the outside doors on the outside.
Yeah.
We're Class A office space.
No, it's beautiful now.
We're classy now.
I've been in those garages.
Yeah. And so in the last few minutes that we have, sort of talk about either the future of entrepreneurship, future of work, how this like mellows into education, anything that you're thinking about or seeing as trends.
Look, I'm very optimistic. I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to be optimistic by nature. But I think the opportunities keep increasing, not decreasing. I think really at the public policy level, we're recognizing entrepreneurship more and more. The politicians are getting into it. I think every university now has an entrepreneurship program. It used to be kind of a dirty word. Now it's mainstream, right? You've got Shark Tank on TV as a popular show, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. So I think in general, the world is moving closer to entrepreneurship, not further away. And I think big corporations are sort of passé now. They're not really interesting. There are a lot of them, but they're really not as interesting as the startup scene is. And people are proud now to call themselves entrepreneurs. So I think, certainly I've got 4 kids. They're all interested in entrepreneurship. I think there are a lot of opportunities. Funding is easier to get than ever before. If you think about it globally, there's actually a glut of capital. Right, interest rates are very low. That tells you right there. There's more capital and opportunity. So now I think the rate limiting step is really good ideas, not capital. Now there are disparities in the capital distribution, like we should touch upon. Some places have almost too much capital, so some really stupid ideas get funded at silly valuation. And we all know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
So the distribution of capital perhaps is sort of out of sync with the distribution of talent and entrepreneurship, right? They're not quite synchronous, but very few things are. But I think in general, the opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities. The other thing I would say that entrepreneurs generally support each other.
Yeah.
So what Jen was saying earlier, just show up. You show up, they're going to help you. They'll give you ideas. They don't keep things to themselves. So there's a general helping. It's a helping community, and people are always trying to help each other succeed.
Very, very nice.
Excellent. I think the only thing I'd add is that there's a lot of interest. So we've got the government's interested. They're doing things to support it. We've got the capital. We've got the talent at Georgia Tech and the other universities across the state here in Georgia to actually do something really meaningful. And now this whole, Tech Square's rebirth as this center for corporate innovation and startups and students, talent coming together. We have roughly 18 corporate innovation centers in Tech Square right now. All these big companies, Home Depot, Southern Company, AT&T, Anthem Healthcare, I could go on. And they're there because they want to interact with Georgia Tech. They want to meet the talent. They want to meet the professors that are doing interesting research, and they want to interact with the startups that are at ATDC and Tech Square Labs and in that area. And so that vibe, that that energy that's coming out of there. You know, these big corporations are trying to figure out how do they innovate, and they know that they can innovate by connecting with universities, with the students, and with the startups. And so I think that's really exciting.
And that's such a great source for that innovation.
They want to be hip. They want to be hip.
And very cool, very cool. Well, thank you both for joining me. We've been coming to you from TiECon South, which is a production of TiE Atlanta, talking today with Dr. Jay Yadav, founder and CEO of MiRus, and also with Jim Bonnett. She is the General Manager of ATDC and the Chief Chick of Startup Chicks. You've been listening to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. What are you going to do today to build your very best business?